Good morning, everyone. This is Mortgage Pros 411. I'm Audrey Boyce-Note with Kevin Casey, and today Steve Richmond is joining us from beautiful North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina, baby.
How you
Nice.
doing? Why does
Heard great things about that.
your subject your whatever it is signature line say Wake Forest?
Okay, I'm in Wake Forest, like reality, but it's sort of like you just go over the street. Raleigh's the airport. Raleigh's what everybody's heard of, so I go by Raleigh.
I
Kind of
see.
like Audrey saying she's in San Francisco, but she's really in Walnut Creek. Just
Right. The
four
same way
hours
that
away on a bad traffic day.
the same way Kevin says he's from in San Francisco, but he's in Pacifica. So,
But that's at
okay,
least right next door.
I am 20 minutes from San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
Give me a break. Well, I mean, if there's no traffic, it could be 2.5 hours. You never know. Okay, so here we go. You ready? You ready?
Go.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. So good to see you. It is a slow news week, yet the market's off today because we have a shaky little ceasefire going right now. But in the meantime, tomorrow, we will have the release of the Fed minutes from the June 17th meeting. We'll have mortgage applications and a 10-year auction. Thursday, we'll have existing home sales, a 30-year auction, and jobless claims. So at least we have something to look forward to. Can you imagine our lives with no economic news? Oh, wait, that was lockdown. Never mind. Not just lockdown. That was the government shutdown. That was, yeah. Okay. So
Natalia's saying that she has an echo on her voice. So
okay, that
Natalia,
is
is it getting any
often
better?
if someone is logged in twice, they get an echo. So I'm wondering if maybe she checks that, unless we have a whole string of people who also say they have an echo, in which case, God help us all, because I don't know how to fix it. All right. So we talked about the California Association of Mortgage Professionals summer camp that's coming up on July 23rd, 24th in Irvine, California, at the Hyatt, I believe. Last week,
Yes,
we had a robust conversation about this. Guess what happened to their numbers? They have 100 more registrations since last week. Now, okay, we're not taking credit for all that, but they did think that we had something to do with it. So thanks, guys. Also, they're only going to allow another 50 people to register. So how about that for a problem where you're going to have to cap it out at some point? So anyway, if you would like to go, please register. We will be there. Kevin will be
it's
sitting.
almost sold out.
Kevin will be sitting at a table that says Mortgage Pros 411. Apparently, he agreed to this while I was in Italy. So he will be there the entire time. So if you'd like to meet him, he will not move from that position. He will probably have to be super glued to the chair because it is not in his nature to sit still that long. But that was his commitment when he took that table. So
I also signed for you to do this also.
Okay, listen, just because I was out of the country doesn't mean you can voluntold me for something. So anyway, regardless, it goes to our point we are constantly making, which is you need to get out of your house. And as we've been saying since lockdown, take a shower, for God's sake. Put on some clothes that don't stretch and go meet humans. This is a great opportunity to do that. So please, please, please come and join us. It'll be fun.
And make sure you're signed up because I had to double check to make sure I'm signed up.
Well, if they're not letting you in, then we've got real problems, right?
But I tell you, these association meetings, I'm watching some of them go really well. I just did Ohio Mortgage Bankers Association. Their numbers were like almost double what they did last year. Virginia Mortgage Bankers, they were over 100 people more than they did last year. So I believe in the associations. I believe in the networking opportunities. I believe in the education. And I say get out there and get to those meetings. I think it's very important.
I think the farther away we get from lockdown, which was just such a shock. And what's funny is I'm listening. I've talked about this before, where I was given a Freakonomics episode to listen to. Then I listened to another one. Then I listened, and they were referencing previous episodes. So I finally just went back to 2010 and started at the beginning. So I have now worked my way up. I'm on episode, I think, 420, and I'm in 2020. So I'm still 6 years behind, but I've gone through 10 years of those Freakonomics episodes.
Now you're in COVID with them.
Exactly. So I'm listening to their conversations about lockdown as it's beginning. And I've done this with one other podcast where I started at the beginning, and you get to the COVID part, it's very, very, those conversations are fascinating because they're trying to figure out what's going to come next, and they're trying to understand, like, what are we dealing with? And there's so many questions, et cetera, et cetera. It was so confusing. But again, we went into this whole reclusive era, and we are realizing as humans that we got to come out of it. And it's been a slow burn for some people because they were much more comfortable just staying home. But for the rest of us, we have got to be around other people. Otherwise, we shrivel up and die. So, we have a request. Can you please write the information to register? And what I would suggest is what Kevin said last week. I would like to think this is original. It is not. It was his idea. Go to thecampsite.org. So www. Go ahead.
TheCampsite.org.
Very good.
Very
so
simple.
Anytime you're listening to someone who's dyslexic spell something, you've listened very closely to make sure
I could do
it
that
happens.
military lettering, but I would mess that up. So
what'd you say?
I said I could do that in military lettering, but I'd probably mess that up.
Okay, I wouldn't even know what that would begin to look like. So moving right along. So we have a very
Tango Hotel Echo.
What?
That kind of Tango Hotel Echo. Charlie.
Yeah. I would say that would be not helpful at all. So thank you for skipping it completely.
Especially since I started misspelling it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so again, back to our shaky ceasefire. During the shaky ceasefire, we saw oil prices go down to $68 a barrel, which when we started this conflict, and I mean we started it, we were at $67 a barrel. So obviously we have not seen gas prices reflect that exactly, but we have to remember that there are inventories that have to be, they have to get through the inventories that they have at the higher prices. And it takes time for all of that to catch up. Plus, when you got a shaky ceasefire, maybe they're not sure whether it's going to hold and whether the prices are going to pop back up. So there you go. But
and also, just throwing on the oil concept right there, it also depends on what state you're in. Because as I go from state to state, there's certain states that are doing lower when it comes to the gas prices, and certain states are higher.
This is a regular conversation for us because I live in some of the highest gas prices in the country. So currently, I'm excited that I'm paying $5, and I think it was 67 cents a gallon or something the last I looked. And that was down $1 from a month ago, a gallon. How much are you paying in North Carolina, Steve?
We're still in the threes. So I know, but that's where we are. It's floating in the upper threes, between the 360s to the 390s, depending on the day and depending where you are.
Yeah.
I saw 519 over the weekend, and I cut across 3 lanes, cutting off 4 people to cut into that gas station and get that $5, $19 gas. So much cheaper than the $6.50 we were seeing a little while ago.
So he caused an 8-car pileup and about $47,000 in damage to all the other cars, but at least he saved an extra, 40 cents a gallon. So that's good.
But we usually watch what? I hear a lot of people, they say, watch oil, and then we'll see what happens to mortgage rates. Watch oil, and you see what happens to mortgage rates. Is that following?
Yeah.
Okay, so that whole thing is very interesting because even though Kevin Warsh, our new Fed chair, has said he is not interested in providing a lot of forward guidance on what the Fed is going to do. He did not even participate in the every other meeting dot plot that we have come to know and love so much, or maybe not know and love, maybe know but not love. I don't know. It depends on your perspective. But we still had a bunch of Fed members last week, blah, blah, blahing out there and really roiling the markets, and not just current Fed members, but previous Fed members too, weighing in on what they think is going to happen. And it was interesting because some of the comments, obviously, they one of them in particular, well, oil prices going up was inflationary, oil prices coming down was also inflationary. I'm like, okay, which is it? You know what I mean? So again, if everyone just shut their traps for a minute. God, did you see how I just made that into something slightly less offensive than it was in my head? That was very took a lot of effort.
I've always noticed that when gas prices go up, consumer spending also tends to rise. And I've always kind of felt, well, that's because the price of gas went up. I'm spending more money.
Wait, what?
Yeah, consumer spending, that
Yes.
statistic comes out. Usually it follows price of gas. So if gas prices go up, consumer spending tends to go up, but then they separate the two numbers out, and then you
Yes.
get the real number.
Yes. That's true. That is true. What this Fed member was saying was that as gas prices came down, then consumers would spend more on other things. And I would beg to differ in the sense that people are really struggling to pay for all they have to pay for these days, and that we're not seeing a lot of extra consumer spending. And a lot of the consumer spending has been at the really high end of things. So if you have tons of money, then great, you're fine. Although, interestingly, so Jason Bellevue, our current camp president, and also the guy who does our YouTube channel, which is a side note, he has caught up 2 months worth of posting. So for God's sake, please go check out our YouTube channel for Mortgage Pros and catch up on some of those episodes you missed. I, in particular, like it on 1.5 to 2 speed. You can get through it faster. I wanted to remember what we had talked about with Steve last year. So I listened to an episode, which I had not done I hardly ever do that ever. And anyway, so yeah, higher speeds are great, but go check that out. Anyway, he was saying, and sometimes this anecdotal evidence is very interesting and telling. So he's very involved with the horse world. And horses, just in case you weren't aware, you have to have a lot of money to do that typically. So he was just at a horse show that was a major, like usually there are, I forget what the numbers were, but anyway, usually there are lots of people, and there were significantly less this year. And it was because people didn't want to spend the money on it. So
I think they're watching World Cup. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because those horse people, they really like soccer.
It's called football, Kevin. Get with the program. Jeez Louise. I thought we were going to discuss this after the debacle of the last 48 hours in World Cup USA soccer. So, okay.
It wasn't a debacle. We were supposed to lose. We were a better team.
Okay. Let's just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. There we go. Okay. All right. So, jobs reports. So, we had... my God. Okay. So
you're laughing at that one? Come on now. That's an easy mark. Let's go.
Oh my God. Okay. So you have to know Tony. So we have a comment from someone. So the horse buyer said, nay to the horse prices. I mean, come on. That's funny. I mean, he's a goof.
That's a dad joke.
He's a dad. Yeah.
There you go.
He's also a Disney dad. That probably compounds it, don't you think? All right. Jobs reports. Let's talk about that for a minute. And we talked about this last year too, by the way. And since then, Steve, I had talked then about how I was looking for somebody who could explain BLS methodology to us and why it was so, their numbers were often so, let's just go with crappy, shall we? Crappy. And since then, we did. And he's been on our show a couple of times, and we love him. And he used to run the division of BLS that produces the job numbers. His name is Ron Hetrick. So anyway, so he has enlightened us. And now we understand the disconnect between the BLS numbers and the QCEW numbers. But we still have, how shall we put it? Numbers that are not entirely reliable. So on that note, in June, BLS Thursday, I guess, reported that we had 57,000 job creations, which was about half of what the market expected. May was revised down. April was revised down. And we got some really, really strong numbers in those months. And everyone was thinking, oh, well, maybe jobs are great. Maybe everything is fine. Well, now we have 74,000 jobs less than those 2 months originally reported. And in addition to that, when we watched the unemployment rate go from 4.3 to 4.2%, it's important to note that 720,000 people left the labor market, which is why that number was good. The unemployment number looked good at face value. So you really you have to take a dive into this stuff so you understand it, so that you can help your borrowers understand it, so you can, yeah. In addition, we had ADP that came out that was, it was okay. But anyway, these jobs numbers that were looking so good for a couple months there are looking less good. So, Steve, you had thoughts before. Do you have thoughts today on all this?
Oh, you said unreliable. I say reliable, knowing that they're going to modify in the future, because the whole thing about jobs is it's always backward looking. It's never forward looking. And
Right.
the main distinguisher, what's going on with jobs right now are government jobs. Because when you take government
Oh.
jobs out of that makes a significant change because you're watching less and less government jobs get filled, right? People are losing more government jobs and those jobs are getting taken away. And that's what's hitting. So I like to compare the private sector and the government sector to see what the difference is there.
Yes, I agree. You're probably you're closer to Washington, D.C. and a lot of those federal jobs that were, what's the word for it? Eliminated, wiped out,
Doged,
do-
whatever you want to call it.
doged. Yeah, that'd be a word. It's a verb
And how
now.
many? I wonder how many have actually been recreated because some of them.
Okay, so we talked
Actually,
about this.
they just sunset Doge this week, actually.
They did. I didn't know that.
Mhm. That's what I
Oh,
read.
well, and also I read a couple months ago, we talked about it actually here, that they were hiring some people back, but they've gotten rid of the older people and they're hiring younger people for less money. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, same thing. Didn't Ford go through that? I was reading the Wall Street Journal where Ford, or was it, or you the one telling me that? Maybe one of the two, or both.
Well, I sent you an article about how because again, this is something else. We're going to get to AI in a minute, but where a lot of these companies have dumped a bunch of employees and they all were at the beginning, they were saying, oh, AI productivity will increase, AI. And the market was really applauding that. And there's been a monumental screech on that. And now the market, it's people aren't buying it. They know that that is not the case. So, okay. Oh, geez, Louise, sorry.
I thought you had an earthquake there for a second.
Well, I did, but it had to do more with my computer about to crash on the ground than anything else. So there was a posting. We're talking about. I want to talk about delinquencies in the market for a minute. National delinquencies. So ICE, most unfortunate name in mortgage lending, as far as data goes. But anyway, ICE Mortgage Monitor, they have reported that hang on, I'm looking for my.
Came out 2 days ago.
What?
Came out 2 days ago. The ICE Mortgage Monitor. The person who said,
Yes.
"Can I get notes?" Go Google ICE Mortgage Monitor, and you can see the most current one and sign up for it. It's a great document to read.
It is awesome. Absolutely. So there were a few things that they were talking about, and one of them was that the delinquency rate, yes, it's up, but it is now, I mean, literally it is at 29, it's at pre-pandemic levels essentially. So what has happened is the market has corrected itself, and also it's mostly concentrated, as we've discussed ad nauseum for the last couple of months. It's mostly concentrated with FHA and VA. So nationally, we're up 15 basis points to 3.5% in May. But they also point out, and they always do this every time they come out, and the last day of the month was a Sunday. They make sure that we remember that can totally skew the delinquency numbers for that month, because the payments that were made on that last day of the month, they are not going to be posted as late, but they don't show up until the next, they don't process them until into the next month. So it's a little confusing at first, but 90 days delinquent plus or inactive foreclosure is up 185,000 from a year ago, but conventional and portfolio loans are flat or slightly lower in their delinquencies. So it's the smaller equity position loans that are having issues. So the people that bought, they're really making sure we understand 2022, 2023, if they have an issue, they don't have equity to fix it. And we have to be really cognizant of that when we are helping people figure out whether they should buy a house or not. Because if they are going to have a job shift in a year, or if they are Um, if they are, if there's any uncertainty, you've got to really think it through, especially if you're stretching, their ratios and DTIs. So again, you've got to look at some of these numbers and these statistics and really understand them so you can explain them to your referral partners and to your borrowers. And if you don't do that, then they're scared. Steve, I'm sure you have thoughts.
I think we've left the world of let me tell you about my product, and we've entered the world of let me educate you and teach you as to what's going on. We need to take a much more holistic view. And when you do that, and Miss Geis, my 8th grade algebra teacher, will be very happy that I'm about to say this. We need to start showing our work. Hi, this is where I got this information. This is how I'm coming to this conclusion. This is where we are. You got to show your work. Look, my daughter-in-law, I call her my daughter. I love her. Her name's Rebecca. She joined our family in September. She's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But she did come to me and say, hey, did you know that Helen Keller is not real? I was like, huh, what? And she's like, yeah, I saw a TikTok. So we in the mortgage profession are constantly battling these people who are on TikTok, on Instagram, and all of these other things. And while they're trying to educate also, they're more trying to grab eyeballs. We need to educate, teach, and show our work so that we are the proven professionals and the experts so that people will continue to rely upon us and get the right information from the right people.
It's funny. Kevin and I had been asked a couple of years ago, to help someone out with their podcast and come in and just give a weekly update to their listeners on what was going on in the market. And it was an interesting transition because it started off with us being viewed as the experts. We know what we're talking about. We really research things. We do not engage in hyperbole. And well, we try not to. And we really try to keep it center, like not screeching one way or the other on the spectrum. And what happened was this person slowly sort of got their feet under them and felt like they had a voice and an opinion. And it was very much following people online who were, what's the word, Kevin? Extreme.
Making up shit.
Okay. 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 I have to give it to you.
Term. Yeah, that's it.
You know what? Making up shit. That is a much better way to put it. See what happens when I try to be polite occasionally?
They're doing hot takes. Is that a nicer way to say it? They're doing hot takes.
What did you say?
Hot takes. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, is that? I like Kevin's version better. Way better. So anyway, so we just removed ourselves and they're still going. And that is unfortunate in the sense that you've got a bunch of people who are just buying into this hyperbolic narrative that is not good for anybody.
Show your work, baby.
Show your work.
Can that be the segue to the next thing?
It certainly can. Go, Steve, go.
So I've been on AI a lot lately because I was just out of the country and I had to ask AI 100 different things like, hi, where is the bus station that I'm trying to go to? And I have to tell you, AI made more mistakes than it gave me correct information.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there, you talked about it before, Audrey. Hey, I like Perplexity because it tells you where it's getting the information from. Are you getting it from the National Enquirer? Are you getting it from the Wall Street Journal, right? Big difference between those two publications. But I'm watching AI make mistake after mistake after mistake, and you need show your work.
So when you're putting the prompt in, and actually you were the person that mentioned Perplexity to begin with, and I had forgotten about it. So I wanted to mention it today because I thought that what you had said before was really important and that it would be a useful tool for a lot of us. But when I'm putting a prompt into AI, I ask it to provide links. So I can go to the reference that it's supposedly using. And even with that, I've been using Claude just because my AI son is.
I'm a Claude guy now.
Aaron told me that all the tech guys are doing it. So obviously I should be using Claude too. Duh. Anyway, I know that I use it very differently than they do, but it actually has a little disclaimer on it that says, we're not always right, double check. And so it's a wonderful jumping off point, a wonderful reference point. I am using it more and more and more, but double check, ask it to provide links. And I'm going to, this time, hopefully, remember to take a dive into your Perplexity. Is that an app or is it a website? What is it?
Perplexity.ai is the website.
Okay. No app.
And what's really cool, you can go onto that and say, hey, do me a favor, compare Perplexity to Claude, to Chat GPT, to Google's Gemini, or whichever ones you want.
Yep.
And it will give you an actual grid. It will say, if you're trying to do research, use Perplexity. If you're trying to create text, go to Chat GPT. If you're looking to pull in more information to create something that's more complex and doing a lot of coding, go to Claude. It will tell you which one you should be using based upon what you're trying to accomplish. AI will tell you which one to use.
Yeah.
Wow,
Interesting.
cool.
Really interesting. Okay, so let's keep on the AI conversation just because there are some interesting developments. So first of all, the younger generation is not loving it. I mean, and there is a thought that part of that is because they are graduating from college and they want a job and they don't want their job replaced by AI. I do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, why is the younger generation pushing back so much and what does that mean for the future potentially? Because we don't have a clue. We're just guessing at this point.
Was that a question to me? Because I do have
Yes.
thoughts. So
Yes.
my quickest answer to that is it's sort of it's what I'm watching happen is the same thing that happens. See, I'm getting a little bit older. Check it out. There you go. The hair's going away. And
What
what happens
happened?
is, you start off as a Democrat, and the older you get, the more conservative and the more Republican you get. That's just sort of the trend of what we see in the world right now. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with AI. I have two kids. One is 29 in the workforce doing things, and one is 21 getting ready to come out of college and trying to find herself. And the 29-year-old's going, oh my God, I can't do my job with AI. I look like I'm without AI. I look like a genius because this is how I use AI and it's making my job so much better and so much easier. And when I talk to my daughter about AI, what she says, I don't care about the information that AI does. It's a drain of power. It's something that's taking it away. It's causing, you're buying all this land to do that, and it's costing so much, and it's hurting the environment. So it's less for education and informational purposes that is her concern, and it's more about the effect on the environment. And I think that's what you
Interesting.
find. Younger people, when they have that I don't want to say Pollyannic, but that more of a,
Idealistic.
yes, I'm open and aware and I want everything to be great. And then when you get a little bit more practical in your life, you start saying, yeah, I want everything to be great too, but what do I need for me? And I think that's exactly what's happening. My 29-year-old embraces it like crazy, and my 21-year-old is shooing it away. And she's going to see that, well, if I want a job, I'm going to have to start using it.
I also think that the younger generation takes a lot of the information that's now at our fingertips for granted. So they never had to fumble through an encyclopedia if they were lucky enough to have one to get to write their report that they were working on, right? So they're so used to and accustomed to having a just click, 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 poof, it's right there. It's a given. And the rest of us don't take that for granted.
Can I tell a story about that, please?
Please, Steve, please.
This happened to me, and it blew my mind. I told you I had two AI stories. This is the second one I had
Oh,
forgotten.
good.
I gave a presentation, and the speaker after me was an AI guy, and he got up and he said, I just recorded his whole presentation and it summarized it for me and it gave me slides and it did all this great stuff. So isn't that the coolest thing? Look how awesome AI is, right? And he said, and he looked at me and goes, what do you think about that? I said, I think that's awesome. Can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, what were your three takeaways from my presentation?
Yes.
And he looked at me. I'm like, you didn't listen to a single thing. And I'm looking over here on the attendee list. There's some note takers that are listening right there. My
Yep.
comment is, if you want to use note takers, use it as a backup, but not as your primary. Because you still have to engage your thoughts. You still have to hear it and see how that takes the synapses in your brains and makes you think of something new and triggers the creativity and adds memories so that you know how to do other past experiences and bring them together and connect them. And when you just rely on people go, is AI going to replace us? If you just use a note taker and you don't listen to the person that's talking, you're letting AI replace you. You just did that on your own. So he was like, I have no idea what you even talked about. I'm like, then I guess the note taker wasn't really all that great because you got nothing out of my presentation.
You know,
What did wait, was this in front of the audience?
Yes.
And what was the audience response? Oh,
Well, my first comment was, so I guess you're saying I'm out of a job. And he laughed and everybody's like, no, we love you, Steve. I'm like, yeah. Let's play this out. And at the end, so that's what I'm saying. And AI is a tool. It's how you use it. But if you use it to replace you, your employer is going to use it to replace you too.
well, and I also find that, I mean, even when I'm manually taking notes, how often do you go back and look at them? So if you have
yeah,
something taking notes, how are you using them? But the other thing too is if you listen to, you know, people who study the brain, and they're it first of all of this tech is really altering our brains and the way they function, and that is an issue potentially, but also the ability to think and to process. And I rail on this quite often because I am not a fan of everyone sitting at home doing their jobs, because I learned this business from the ground up. I literally started, well, I was given the title of processor. I did not at all deserve that processor title. I didn't know what I was doing on any level. I was like, I'm going to go to law school. This is just like this little interim thing. And then, it's sort of like a communicable disease. You get the bug and you can't get rid of it. And I was just in, right? So, with all that being said, I learned processes. I learned how to do loans because I was involved or listened to my office mates talk about all of their scenarios. We talked about how do you fix it? How do you, all this, right? And process matters. And being able to, and it matters in
Oh,
every business, every business.
may I respectfully tweak something that you said? I
Of
won't disagree
course.
with you. I just want to tweak it. You said,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
many times do I look back at my notes? That's why I don't like when people take slides, pictures of the slides on the stage. But study after study shows if you listen, you retain or remember a little bit of it. If you type notes while you're doing it, a little bit more. If you handwrite your notes, that's
Yes.
the greatest way to
Yes.
enhance your memory. So you don't necessarily even have to go back and review the notes. There's
yeah.
something that is connected between the pen, the paper, and your brain that will help you remember it because you went through that physical activity.
That is, I 100% agree with you. And if you look at, I mean, it was funny. So Kevin and I have been doing this show for what, 6.5 years now. And last fall was the first time I think we'd ever been in the same place while we were doing the show, because we always do it this way. He's at his spot, I'm at my spot. And this one particular time, we've been asked by an association to come and do it live in front of them. So he saw what my notes look like. And I have pages of handwritten notes. And it's exactly to your point, which is my brain, the way that I retain things and the way I work things out is when I'm writing it manually. And it doesn't have to be on, pen and paper. It could be, my son uses his tablet, it has a pencil and writes it that way. So as long as you're writing.
Because when your hand does it, you know that this was an S and this was a T. When you
Yes.
type it, your fingers don't recognize, hi, I was just hitting the B or the M button, right? It just,
Yes. Yes,
you got
yes,
to write it
yes.
out.
So it's yeah, I think you're so right about all of that. And again, I think that as this evolves, as it will continue to do, and at lightning speed, it would appear, then we need to adapt with it. And how do we use it? How do we incorporate it in our lives, in our businesses? And also, because we have this resource problem, we have a real resistance to these data centers being built near us, right? We know that they are sucking the resources in that area. So we have our friend Mark McCardle, who's on our show regularly, whether he wants to or not, is he lives near one, and he said he made some comment that his power bill is more expensive because of this data center. And so and I see headlines around here where, this is being considered, but there's huge public pushback. Nobody wants it. And then to your daughter's point, all the resources it takes to operate these. So a few years ago, this geo I never know how to say his title, Kevin. Peter Zion. He studies geopolitics, and he had an interesting point, which was we have enough natural resources in the world to, of the four different segments of business that AI can impact and be a part of, we have enough natural resources for one. And I think it was like military, agriculture, tech, and was it finance, Kevin? Anyway, we can't do all of it. How are we going to choose? And what happens if we all embrace this completely and it all falls apart, and then none of us know how to think anymore? We have you know what I mean? It's complicated, very complicated. We'll figure it out. 100% we would figure it out, but you don't want to lose. It's sort of like I have a real estate license that I got in 90 something, because I had to have that to do mortgages, right? I've never done a single real estate transaction in my life, not even my own, because I know that I am not a realtor, right? But I still maintain that license because it's a pain in the wazooski to go get it again. So I just do my 45 hours every 4 years and I keep it current. We cannot lose our ability to think and process and come up with ideas while we are able to be dependent on something what if we need those later?
Did you see the story about the guy from Scotland who was coming to Boston to watch the World Cup and he ended up in Barcelona? Did you see this?
No.
No. He went to Barcelona, and on his way to go to the next flight, he lost his tickets and his phone died. So they said, "We don't know who you are. You can't get on any plane." And for 10 days, he just sat there in Barcelona, and his family was panicked. And they're like, "Why didn't you try and contact us?" He goes, "I don't know anybody's phone number."
Okay. Why didn't he find a
couldn't
freaking
call
charger?
Anybody because he didn't know their phone number, because they were so reliant on the technology instead of being able to use somebody's email address. But yeah, I read that article this morning. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
So he came without a wallet or a passport.
No, he lost it. When he got off the airplane, he lost all his stuff.
Well, all you got
Did he lose his phone?
Store and buy a new one.
His phone died. So he didn't look at it. He just said, "Oh, I'm going to drink a pint and I'm going to go watch the game and I'm good to go. I'm seeing what I want to see anyway."
Oh my God. Okay. So this guy has bigger problems than I lost all my shit. Okay. He is, go. Okay. This is what I would do. I would go and I would sit outside of a flight arriving from America. And then I would beg. I would do whatever I had to do to get some charger from some person on that flight that might fit into my phone. I'd find a charger. What the?
He was happy. What can I say? Anyway, so yeah.
That's hilarious.
But going back to what we talk about AI, I think where people are missing it is they keep looking at AI like, what should we get right now? And I got to tell you, whatever your AI, whatever it looks like today, whatever it feels like today, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, it's going to be something totally different. You go to buy a computer or a TV, you're like, oh, I'm going to get the 4K. Oh, I'm going to get the 5K. Oh, I'm getting the 120 PSI, right? Because it keeps changing. And when we try and get AI today, use it, like it, get comfortable with it. But what it's going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, it's going to be used in a totally different way. And you just have to be able to adapt and change with what's going on.
Well, that is an advantage that people in our business have over other businesses, which is it is the nature of our business, which is to adapt and change. That is something that loan officers have had to do since we got into the business. It is completely different today than it was then. And if you have not adapted and you have not changed, you are not going to make it at this point. And you're probably already gone, actually. We see this exodus every time there's some refi boom, and it's so easy to do mortgages and everyone comes in, takes the low hanging fruit. But as soon as we get back to normal, which is crazy and difficult and unexpected, they're gone.
But your point was, but what if this stuff doesn't work and it all goes away? It's not going to go away. It's just going to change and evolve. And
you know what I mean, though? That's what I meant, Steve.
Yep.
That's exactly what I mean. Yep. Is we still need to maintain our ability to think and do things. So
Amen. Hallelujah. Yes.
I mean, I have a deal. Oh God, I have this deal. I swear to God, I love these people, but anyway, it's gone on forever. It's really complicated because they had a legal situation. Anyway, bottom line is yesterday we're like so close to the end and there was a huge glitch. And I just told my processor, I said, just send me everything. The 1003, I'm just gonna go through it because when I lay it all out, then
You can
that's
find
how I'll
it.
be able to see it. Is I'll be able to figure out, okay, how am I going to fix this?
Yep.
What pops off the page at me? And it's funny because I've had an assistant come into my office and go, I just cannot get this thing to approve. It's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. And I tweak the loan amount $200 and poof, all of a sudden we've got a do you accept, right? So it's sometimes it's that ability to be able to understand a loan file and look outside of what is right in front of you, and how do we fit this back into a box that would be palatable for a lender.
Every
Remember
company I
back to
talk to, and they say, how should we're trying to recruit people? Da, 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 da. I said, the number one question you should be asking anybody you're interviewing is, do you like puzzles?
Ah,
yeah,
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm
yeah,
like, this entire business is just a puzzle. And you just said
yes,
it. You laid all the pieces out and you saw which ones
yes,
fit
it is a
together, and
puzzle.
boom, here's your solution.
I tell
Do you
people that
like
all the
puzzles?
time. It's just a math puzzle. It's like, oh, I have right now a client who I pre-approved for 1,150,000, but doesn't want to pay a penny over 1,000,001. And I got a seller who wants 1,250,000, and I'm like, listen, it's just math. We can make this number work. We're so close right now. I think I've got them down within $75,000 of each other. I'm like, we can make this work. This is not, but there's $75,000. Like, no, might not be. If you just pay a point, you can buy the rate down, which gets equivalent of paying the loan down by, or the balance down by $50,000. And so you're only paying $9,000 instead of 50. So we can make this work. So it's just,
the trick is getting people who are box thinkers to think outside the box.
yes,
And that's not always easy.
yeah.
It's a lot of
My,
times it's a slow nudge on from both sides to kind of get them to see something a little differently. But it is a skill that a lot of loan officers have that is so valuable and important.
my biggest hurdle on this one is getting the borrower to think outside the box, because she's
Yes.
like, I just know that my payment's this, and I'd rather pay $3,800 in rent. I'm like, no, you understand that, yes, you're paying more per month than a mortgage, but here's the discounts. You're getting an interest rate deduction. You're paying yourself principal back every month. You are getting a tax deduction. You are missing out on appreciation if you don't buy this place. And when I did the math, at just a 3% appreciation rate, which is super conservative, she would have been saving over $1,000 over her $3,800 a month in rent, but she just can't see it. And I was like, I'm just talking to nobody here. It's like blank
Kevin,
wall.
Kevin, Miss Geist would be so proud of you. It's exactly what we talked about earlier. Show your work. And that's
Yeah,
exactly what you're doing right there. You're not
yeah.
just telling them what it is, you're showing them where you came up with the solution.
I'm so blown
You
Exactly.
got to
away.
be able to describe
That
it.
was your fifth grade math teacher's
Eight,
Eight.
eighth.
eighth grade.
Okay, that's not
It
so
was
bad.
algebra. She was the one who would walk around if you weren't paying attention. She had one of those big wood yardsticks, right? And
Huh?
if you weren't paying attention, she'd swap it on your
Ah!
desk, and
Oh
man, she'd
my, was
scare
it
you like
Catholic school?
crazy.
I
Catholic
had,
No,
school?
no, this was a public school, but she had no problem with that yardstick. Boom.
I had the teacher with mine was was he second grade? No, yeah, second grade or fresh sophomore year math teacher. He had a wooden protractor. It was, about a foot long, and he would bang it on the podium every time the audience wasn't paying attention, or the class, the kids, like boom. You're like, whoa.
My
It
fifth
worked.
grade teacher, Mr. Bruce, had the Board of Education. He used to beat the boys. This was public school. I'm like,
Wow.
I think we're showing how old we are that we all remember things like this. Although we're not that old, which tells you it's not that long ago that all of this was completely acceptable in elementary school, but anyway, or middle school. Okay, moving right along. So, AI, get with it, use it, but don't become completely dependent on it. How about that?
Yeah.
It's a tool. It's a tool for you to
It's a tool.
use.
It's a tool.
Yes. You know what? It was really interesting. This came from my nephew's, I guess, nephew's girlfriend's mother, and he was saying about it's like, well, you are 100% positive about your opinions all the time, but the reality is you're only right about 90% of the time. And she goes, funny thing, AI is 100% positive about the way it presents its answers, but the reality is it's 90% right most of the time at best. So it's kind of just like a human. You got to consider, even though it's coming from a computer, you got to treat it like it's a human being, and there might be wrong.
I would say that 90% number is generous and
Yeah,
very
it might be.
subjective, I'm guessing. But anyway, yeah, I get your point. Okay, couple things. So, number one, I thought it was interesting. Gen Zs were 20% of the purchase locks in Q2 2026. 20%. So that cohort, the oldest ones are now like 29. So they are becoming a major part of the makeup of borrowers. Between them and millennials, they're 2/3 of mortgage business, which again leaves a third that is not them. So always important to remember that, I think. Um, they are 33% of first time buyers and 27% of FHA purchases. And I also thought it was interesting down payment sources. This comes from ICE. 71% used personal savings and 29% used family gifts, loans, retirement savings. With Gen Z, they used 13% had a family gift and 8% had a loan. And every time I'd read loan, I was like, what? I even put exclamation points. Then I was like, oh, maybe they're thinking down payment assistance because you can't use loans unless you disclose them for down. Anyway, so yeah. So let's assume that was down payment assistance. Their ICE's home price index for June up 0.3 month over month, and it's been stable for the last 3 months, even though we saw a little spike in rates, up 1.3% year over year. Single families are up, condos are down. So this is a whole nother thing, which I'll get to in a second. 72% of markets nationally are up from a year ago. 91% showed seasonally adjusted gains in June. 87% of markets showed accelerating price growth. And they are saying that we are on pace to exceed 3% appreciation by year end. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds, because as we know, anything can come out of left field and knock it all to crap. So anyway, so we'll see. But the point is things are positive as far as appreciation. It's not going to HE double toothpicks. I still hear people every once in a while who are like, oh, well, we're going to have a big, meltdown again. And I'm like, we're not seeing it. We're absolutely not seeing it. So
But I'll say it's not just positive when it comes to appreciation. When I listen to the numbers that you just said with the Gen Z and the millennials, it's also positive with demand. These
yes,
folks, they still believe in purchasing a home.
thank
They
God.
still want to purchase a home. They can't just get this. Somebody just put pent up demand. That's what I'm saying right there, Dirk. It's
Yep.
demand. They still know it's a good investment. They know it's something that they want to do. They might not be able to obtain it right at this minute, but they're still sitting there saying, yeah, home ownership is for real.
Yeah, and that is a huge deal because there was a question about that for a while there. Whether or not they were going to buy into this, whether now they are interested in walkability and or they like, some of them like urban environments, but that's very typical for younger people. So it'll be interesting to see as they move away from, my kids living in the city, they go out, they have a great time, they go hang out in the park, like it's all
And then they
great,
have a
but
kid and they say, I want a
exactly.
backyard. I'm out of here. Let me go. And I got a dog. Let me get out of here.
I get school
Exactly.
good school district, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so on the note of condos, effective August 3rd, the limited review, streamlined review underwriting, it goes away. All condo projects are going to need to be reviewed through the full review process for Fannie and established review process for Freddie, no exceptions. So, to say the least, it is past time for you as the LO to understand what's going on in the condo market. We've done a number of shows on this. So, certainly you have resources. I see different webinars happening in different spots. So make sure you're plugged into that. But more importantly, we have got to educate these realtors. The number of realtors who are still like, what? We have a problem. Oh, that's a buyer problem. The condo association, that's it. That's a buyer problem. I'm like, no,
Seller
dude,
problem. Sell
that's
your
a
condo now.
that's a seller problem first at
You
this
have until
point.
August. What's the date?
August 3rd.
So you
So
got until August 3rd to get your condo sold.
so the question is, how are you going to, I mean, I believe that these new rules are going to help people buying condos, but those people who own condos right now, they've got an issue. So
Yep.
they were sold a bill of goods when they thought that their homeowners dues were never going to go up and there was never going to be an issue, and they're on a board and they keep voting down taking care of deferred maintenance and kicking the can down the road. I don't know if this sounds familiar to anyone, like that might be happening anywhere else in our lives, but the point is that is over. I mean, when you have guidelines that are where they are now, and when you have state laws that have been passed, like they have been in California, around these issues, you can't ignore this as an HOA anymore, and it takes time for them to shift to fix things. And they're still not a lot of them. So I saw this number the other day. I think it was so huge, the number of condo associations that don't qualify for conventional financing. And just think of those borrowers in those places. They either are stuck, well, they're either stuck or stuck. And if they need to get
Although
unstuck,
some of the rules are listening up, just a little bit, which is true. You don't have to have a full review for, was it up to how many units now? You can get a.
okay, be careful. So the limited review, streamlined condo review goes away August 3rd. So just focus on that. And yes, if you have less units, sometimes it's a little easier. But I mean, we're talking like 4 units or less, or it's
Oh,
like
it's 10. It goes up to 10.
okay, do you know what? We're not going to throw this around. Just Google that shit and ask for a link to the source and make sure you're getting the guideline, for God's sake. Okay. So,
The other rule change, just to be aware of, I think it comes in November, is the new rules for appraisals. And I'm
yeah.
watching a lot of appraisers aren't getting ready to go do that. So if I'm a lender anywhere on this call, I would be talking to my appraisers. Where do you stand with the new rules? I think it's November 2nd or 4th. I'm not going to swear to the date. But I would be calling my appraisers right now to make sure that they're equipped to deal with the new rules.
The average age of an appraiser is 66 years old, and a lot of them are saying, you know what, I'm too old for this stuff. I don't want to learn how to do my job again. I think I'm going to retire.
Okay, I'm reading both sides of that, which there are plenty of appraisers who like, this is not that hard. It's just another adaptation. We'll be fine. So we did a really good show on that months and months ago with Michael Simmons and his friend whose name escapes me at the moment. Anyway, you can reference that. And again, I'm seeing other places who are putting together, presentations on that. So it is coming up the very beginning of November. So that is right. So Steve, translationship. This is a word that you are fond of. Could you explain to us what it means?
Every single mortgage professional I know says it's all about the relationship, the relationship, the relationship. It's all about relationship. I do my business based on relationship. And what we're doing is, guess what? We're teaching everybody on planet Earth to be all about the transaction with Amazon.com. You point, click, you get. You don't have to talk to anybody, know anybody, or look them in the eye. So we're saying it's all about the relationship, but the consumer is evolving and becoming more about the transaction. So my comment is, I still think, yes, the relationship is hugely important, but if you don't pay attention to the transaction, you will never get the relationship. So you want your transaction to go so well that they want the relationship with you. That's the translationship. That every email, every text, every phone call, every closing, every application, whatever it is, it has to go. They're all transactions. But if you do all of them really well, where you're doing it quickly, you're not making mistakes, and you're making their life easy, they're getting to know you, like you, and trust you, and you're transforming your transaction into a relationship so they'll continue to do business with you in the future.
I disagree.
Okay.
You want to hear why?
Sure.
Because we all try to have the perfect transaction. Want it go perfect, okay? what I have noticed is that when the transaction goes to hell and we pull it out of hell and solve the deal, that's when you get referrals, not when the deal goes perfect.
And I'll disagree with you because you didn't let me finish everything that I was
All
saying.
right.
But boom, there you go. So my comment is, and I agree with what you just said, but the answer is, how do you get loyalty? It's making people's life easy. So, Kevin, do you go to the dentist?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you go to the dentist? Do you
Yep.
expect your teeth to be cleaned after you leave the dentist?
Yes. Yes.
But if they hurt you, are you going to go find another dentist? Because another dentist will still be able to. So they expect you to close their loan. They think that that's what your job is. So what I do is I say, if you want customer satisfaction, it's S equal. We're back to Miss Geis. We're in algebra. Satisfaction equals reality divided by expectation. So you have to set up the expectation for your customer, not just of what they can expect from you, but what you expect from them. And one of the things I tell people that they should say to their customer is this: if there is a problem, and there's probably going to be a problem, would you like to know about it? See, if you tell them, I'm taking care of everything, I'm going to make your life easy, and then you say there's a problem, they freak out. But if you say, do you want me to let you know about it? Then they say yes. You give them the phone call and say, I'm letting you know what the problem is, and I'm showing you how I can fix it. Boom. Then they're going to drive the loyalty right back to you. So I agree with you, but because you did what? With that transaction, the reality of how you did it met with the expectation. You told them that there might be a problem. You revealed it. You solved it for them. Boom. That's where you're going to be, because you didn't just go in and say it's going to be perfect all the time. You set the expectation up front.
It all goes back to communicating our value. And it's something that realtors have had to confront. It's something we've had to really come to terms with, because again, it goes back to when we were being raised, which is don't ever brag. Don't ever talk about yourself. Don't ever say you did anything well. And if people think that everything was just perfect, then you have no value, because anyone could have done it, to your point. And if you go to a tech conference and you listen to these tech guys, most of whom not only have never done a mortgage, don't own a house, have no idea what it's like to be on the other end of that process, they think they think that it's just like click, 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 click. They have no concept of what it is we fix on a day-to-day basis, whether it's on the real estate side or with a borrower who just changes their mind over nothing at the last second, or there are a million things that we contend with that we have to take care of, and they don't understand it. So there's a lack of understanding, and I find with my GenZers even, I love them because they do a lot of research. They come and they've got a good basis of knowledge, but then they have questions and they love getting their questions answered. And they, at some point, will understand, I do need someone to hold my hand. I do. I need a human. Holy crap. Can you imagine? So you had a serious radio story you were going to tell.
Yeah, we'll need to do that. I'm looking at the time, but I go back to teach and educate, teach and educate. That's what we're trying to do. Kevin, are you cool with my example that I threw back at you there, man?
I'm good. Yeah,
you gave me a look like, man, I disagree. So I'm happy to.
Yeah, I won't punch you when we come across each other live in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, you're exactly right.
He's crying on the inside, Steve. He's crying on the inside. No, he's not.
Yeah,
no, we totally get it.
Mistake. I like the idea of, hey, let him know there's gonna be something that's gonna come up.
See, to me, it's everything is communication. And when people say, what is communication? And they say, oh, it's to get your message out there. I look at communications to get your message out there and have them interpret it in the manner in which you meant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's a lot of what we're talking about. Yeah, there might be a problem, but let me show you how I'm going to fix it.
So 2 things. Number 1, can you give us the Perplexity website again?
It's Perplexity, PERPLEXITY.AI.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, no calm. Someone had put it in the chat. Is it perplexity.ai.com? No calm. So just .ai. And then also we had somebody else who said something really nice to us. That's nice. Thanks, honey. She was looking for our other episodes, and everything except for last week is up, according to Jason, and you can find it on YouTube at Mortgage Pros 411. You can subscribe to the channel, and then they'll send you a little notification when something gets posted. And if you see Jason, say thank you for doing this out of the kindness of his heart.
At the campsite or the camp summer camp,
Yes.
thecampsite.org. And you just click on the site. It's the first thing that pops up on the website. Just goes on down and it says register now. And there's only 44 spots left.
There you
Interesting. So Deborah says, as always, great show. Lots of quotes to use. I'm wondering what quotes and how do they use them? Bathroom wall. Oh my goodness. So Steve, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so
You
much
guys are
for
great. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we really enjoy this. It's interesting because I remember the first time you were coming on and Kevin was like, who? What? And I'm like, no, really, it'll be good. And you, yeah, we really appreciate you. A whole different twist on things. So everybody, there are loans out there. They aren't easy. Maybe they are. If they are, let us know. But we can go help people. So go help someone, go close a loan. It'll be great. All right. Have a wonderful week, kids. We'll see you next week. Mwah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yes.